The Chevy Suburban rolled to a stop at 7:14 p.m. sharp, its engine ticking in the cooling February air. From the driver's seat, Colonel Jordan Blake stared across the cracked driveway at the two-story colonial where she had grown up and, 5 years earlier, sworn never to return. Porch light, a 60-watt bulb that cast more yellow than white. Lawns, winter brown, untrimmed. Mailbox, still leaning 45 degrees because Philip Blake, precision-obsessed aerospace VP, never found time to fix it. Inside the SUV, Jordan's hands lay calm on the steering wheel. Combat breathing, 4 counts in, 4 counts hold, 4 counts out, controlled the churn in her stomach better than antacid ever had. Tomorrow she would sit at Norbridge Technologies as the Pentagon's final approval authority on a $400 million cyber defense contract. Tonight she was just Joe, the disappointment who chose duty stations over internships. She killed the engine. Absolute silence rushed in, heavy enough to feel physical. For 10 full seconds she let it wash over her, counting her heartbeat, rehearsing neutral responses to the questions she knew were coming. Then she opened the door, boots crunching on gravel, and crossed the threshold into her past. The front door, sun-warped oak with a sticky brass knob, swung inward before she touched the bell. "It's open!" her mother called, voice floating from the kitchen, the way bacon smell used to on Saturday mornings. Jordan stepped inside. The cinnamon floral air freshener was exactly the same brand, dialed up 2 clicks too strong. On the entry wall hung the gallery of Blake's success. Daniel's Georgia Tech diploma, Daniel's wedding portrait, Daniel receiving a Crystal Leadership Award at Norbridge. The blank space where Jordan's commissioning photo should have been was now filled by a cursive woodcut sign that read, "Blessed." "Dinner's ready in 5, Evelyn Blake said, breezing past with a gravy boat. She pressed a one-armed hug against her daughter's shoulder without meeting her eyes. "Daniel made director last quarter. You'll congratulate him, won't you?" Jordan smiled the way soldiers smile at border checkpoints. "Already planning on it, Mom." In the dining room, the table was dressed for 6. Philip at the head, Daniel at his right, Daniel's wife Erin beside him, their 2 preschool sons in booster seats. That left the chair at the far end for the prodigal daughter, a courtesy seat, with no place card, no glass yet poured. Philip entered wearing a navy sport coat that telegraphed earned authority. He nodded at Jordan the way he nodded at junior engineers who overpromised schedules. "Still moving around base to base?" he asked while spearing a roast slice. "Assignments rotate, yes," Jordan answered. "Hard to build a resume when you never settle," Daniel chimed, straightening his cufflinks. At 29, he looked like LinkedIn manifest. Perfect smile, smartwatch glow, confidence bordering on autopilot. Jordan focused on the steam rising from the potatoes, letting his words drift like AM radio in a storm. She had faced insurgent gunfire in Panjshir and ransomware triage in Quantico. A little sibling swagger wasn't going to pierce her composure. As dinner unfolded, conversation orbited exclusively around Norbridge. Quarterly earnings, process automation wins, Daniel's shiny new systems integration directorate, the rumor that the Pentagon liaison would visit the next morning. "What do you think the colonel will be like?" Erin asked, buttering a roll. "Old school lifer, probably," Philip said. "Silver hair, handshake like sandpaper." Jordan lifted her water glass to hide a grin. Hours later, she sat on her childhood twin bed, quilt squares of faded Rockets red and denim blue beneath her. Trophies, regional basketball MVP, science fair silver, lined the shelves like archaeological finds. On the desk lay the unopened envelope she had mailed herself. A formal promotion notice to full colonel, crease still crisp. She had sent a copy to her parents, too. It never made the wall. Outside the door floated muffled laughter, her tribe celebrating its chosen heir. Jordan reached into her overnight bag, withdrew the midnight blue dress uniform, and laid it across the quilt. Ribbons glinted like tiny constellations. The silver eagle on each shoulder winked beneath the lamp. Tomorrow she would let the uniform speak in a dialect her family finally understood. Hierarchy, clearance, billion-dollar consequences. She wasn't coming for revenge, she was coming for undisputed clarity. 05:30 hours. First light bled through gauzy curtains like a slow leak. Jordan stirred on the twin bed, boots already laced. She had slept in her duty t-shirt, the quill folded at her feet. Habit born from years of barracks life. Never let sunrise beat you upright. As she packed the uniform into its carrier, her mind replayed the fracture lines in the Blake family timeline. Flashback, age 18, college acceptance day, kitchen table covered in envelopes. Philip Blake in loafers and tie, coffee mug printed with Norbridge Innovates, asked which business program she'd chosen. Jordan slid the ROTC scholarship letter forward instead. The silence smelled like burnt toast. Flashback, age 22. Commissioning ceremony, Fort Benning Parade Field, brass band, summer humidity at 92 degrees Fahrenheit. The graduates searched the stands for familiar faces. Jordan's eyes found only empty bleachers. She saluted the reviewing officer anyway. Chin high, pulse steady. Flashback, age 26. Promotion to major, Afghanistan deployment. Video link lagged 3 seconds. She held the phone so her father could see the oak leaves pinned to her collar. He asked if that meant she was done moving around soon. Connection dropped before she answered. Back to present. Jordan zipped the carrier, straightened once, and faced the mirror. 31 years old, 5'7", 148 pounds of muscle memory and quiet resolve. A whisper. You chose this road. Walk it all the way. Breakfast downstairs was half a bagel and 6 ounces of coffee. Evelyn's hospitality rushed. Daniel breezed through in gym clothes, AirPods glowing. Big day, he said, meaning his own. Jordan nodded, meaning hers. Norbridge Technologies Arlington campus, 8:44 a.m. The sun bounced off 3 stories of mirrored glass, turning parking lot asphalt into a lake of glare. Jordan guided the Suburban into a reserve slot labeled DoD liaison, authorized vehicles only. A small act of forethought, that sign arranged by the CEO herself. Inside, security checkpoint smelled of ozone and copier toner. The guard scanned her CAC card, straightened as the rank registered. Good morning, Colonel, he said, voice crisp. She returned the salute with 2 fingers to the brow. Elevator ascent, 22 seconds, 7 floors, silent except for Muzak saxophone. Jordan's reflection in chrome doors showed perfect alignment. Gig line centered, ribbons stacked flush. Ding. Doors opened onto the executive lobby. Daniel Blake stood 20 feet away, scrolling a tablet. He looked up, froze. Joe, why are you in? Good morning, Mr. Blake, she replied, tone official. I'm here for the Sentinel review. Before Daniel's brain rewired, footsteps echoed. Lorraine Harper, CEO, early 50s, white hair and a precise bob, power red blazer. Colonel Blake, she beamed, extending a firm shake. Cameras on the ceiling pivoted subtly, logging the encounter. Lorraine pivoted toward the gathering gawkers. Everyone, may I have your attention? This is Colonel Jordan Blake, the Pentagon liaison for Project Sentinel. She holds final approval authority. Please extend full cooperation. Air left the corridor like someone cracked a hatch at altitude. Philip Blake emerged from a side office mid-sentence and fell silent at the sight of his daughter in uniform. Lines around his eyes deepened, processing data he could not throttle. Conference room Alpha, 9 o'clock sharp. Long walnut table, 12 leather chairs, dual 98-inch LED walls displaying Norbridge branding. At the head rested 2 placards, L. Harper, CEO, and C. Blake, DoD liaison. Noise-canceling recessed lights purred overhead. Roll call commenced. Directors introduced themselves, voices pitching upward with deference. Some offered handshakes, all offered slide decks. Jordan responded with nods, jotting notes in a leather folio. Daniel's turn arrived. He stood, cleared his throat, launched a slick presentation on system integration timelines. Slide 4 contained an optimistic throughput chart. Jordan let him finish. Mr. Blake, she began, diction level as a plumb line. Can you reconcile your latency projections with the 35 millisecond ceiling stated in DoD Cyber Directive 821B? The room stilled. Daniel's jaw worked. I can update that section. Please do. Revised draft, close of business Thursday. Yes, ma'am. Philip's expression registered a microsecond of conflict, pride wrestling disbelief. Jordan kept her gaze forward. For 90 minutes, she steered discussions: encryption standards, zero-trust architecture, supply chain hardening. Engineers fielded her questions with a mix of fear and fascination. She never once raised her voice. Authority radiated from competence, not volume. 11:32 a.m., Lorraine adjourned. Thank you, Colonel. Your expertise elevates us. Chairs scraped back. Conversations buzzed. Excited, anxious. Jordan collected her folio, nodding polite farewells. Philip blocked her path outside the glass doors. We need to talk, he muttered, voice trimmed of bluster. Jordan answered with the smallest tilt of chin. Your office? He led, shoulders stiff. Behind them, Daniel followed, screen-mirrored eyes finally seeing his sister anew. Philip Blake's corner office was built for dominance. Glass walls, skyline view, framed patent awards, and a hulking desk of polished walnut. This morning it felt like a courtroom. Evelyn Blake sat in a guest chair, hands clenched around her purse. Daniel stood near the blinds, posture coiled. Jordan remained on her feet, at ease stance, hands clasped behind her back. She didn't fidget. Military bearing carried its own gravity. Her father broke the silence. You've been a colonel for how long? 6 months, she replied. He looked stricken. You never told us. I did, she said softly. I sent invitations to the ceremony. I emailed the press release. I even called. We didn't realize what it meant, her mother said quickly. Colonel sounds important, but we didn't understand. Because I stopped explaining, Jordan said. Every call turned into a quarterly update about Daniel's numbers. You never asked about me unless it was to suggest I come home. Daniel stepped forward, voice uncertain. We thought you were stuck. Always moving, no real structure. She looked at him evenly. Last night you said people in the military just follow orders. You laughed when you said it. He winced. I didn't know, I didn't ask. No, Jordan said. You didn't. Evelyn's voice cracked. We should have been there. For your commissioning, your graduation, all of it. I thought you didn't want us involved. I stopped hoping you would be, Jordan said. The silence after was thick enough to press down on the chest. Philip cleared his throat. So, what now? You want an apology? Some announcement in the company newsletter? Jordan shook her head slowly. I want what I've always wanted, basic respect. Recognition that I made a different choice and didn't fail. Daniel shifted, rubbing his jaw. You evaluated my presentation. You didn't humiliate me. I wasn't here to, Jordan replied. I was doing my job. For the first time in decades, Philip Blake seemed unsteady. He stepped forward, extended his hand not with theatricality, but with quiet intent. Colonel Blake, he said, voice raw, I underestimated you. Completely. Jordan took the offered hand. I accept. 6 months later, Jordan's apartment in Washington, D.C. hummed with warmth. The space reflected order and character, shelf-lined walls holding a blend of cybersecurity textbooks, framed commendations, and a few quiet mementos from overseas deployments. Clean lines, nothing excessive. The table was set for 5. Philip Blake arrived first, carrying a framed defense magazine. Figured you might want a copy, he said. The cover featured a photo of Jordan beside General Adams and CEO Lorraine Harper. Headline, Colonel Blake leads Sentinel project to completion. I've had it in my office a few months now, he added, not meeting her eyes. Thanks, Dad, she said. It means something. Evelyn followed, balancing a foil-wrapped pie tin. Still Apple, right? Jordan smiled. Always. I don't know how you keep this place so neat, her mother mused, scanning the pristine counters. Jordan nearly replied, military habit, but paused. Let grace speak instead of wit. Daniel and Aaron arrived last, wine in hand and unfamiliar ease in their step. Dinner passed with laughter, not forced, not rehearsed. Afterward, as Aaron loaded the dishwasher, Daniel pulled Jordan aside. I used your rollout strategy, he admitted. Took a few weeks, but the team came around. Did you tell them where it came from? Eventually, he said with a grin. After I let them believe I was a genius. Jordan chuckled. As long as it's working. Daniel paused. You've really got it together. I don't think I've ever said that. No, Jordan said. You haven't. Well, he said, I'm saying it now. Across the room, Philip examined the shelf. His gaze lingered on a small bronze citation. I read about that one, he said. Cyber Defense Commendation? Jordan nodded. Led the response to a breach targeting 2 federal networks. He said nothing more, just nodded slowly. Later that evening, over lukewarm coffee and the best apple pie in 3 counties, Philip raised his glass. To Colonel Jordan Blake, he said, who proved that your worth isn't found in following someone else's path, but in walking your own. They clinked glasses. And for the first time, Jordan believed the words were real. Later that night, as the last dish was rinsed and laughter dimmed to quiet hums, Jordan stood at the window of her apartment. The city lights of Washington, D.C. blinked steadily, a rhythm of quiet confidence, just like her own. She thought of that first evening back home, of the invisible seat at the table, of the silence that once followed her every update. She had shown up anyway, not for approval, not to prove a point, but because she knew who she was. Tomorrow she'd be back on base, briefing a new task force on information warfare protocols. She'd stand before officers twice her age, some skeptical, some awed. None would question if she belonged. She had walked the long way, and that path had become her proof. Her phone buzzed, a text from her father. Keep the article on your desk, not just for them, for you. Love, Dad. She didn't cry. She didn't need to. This wasn't a movie ending. It was something better. It was real. There are people who will never see you until someone else does first. There are rooms you'll walk into that feel colder than the battlefield, filled with those who only measure you by what you didn't do, what degree you didn't pursue, which blueprint you didn't follow. Let them. Because here's the truth. The loudest proof of value is not in what you say. It's in who you've quietly become. Jordan Blake didn't fight for recognition. She stood for responsibility, for showing up when it counted, for doing the job no one else could. And when the moment came, when the conference room turned and the colonel was revealed, she didn't raise her voice. She didn't gloat. She simply stood. And that was enough. So if they tell you you're nothing, smile. Keep building. Keep learning. Keep rising. So if you've ever been dismissed, overlooked, or told you were meant for something else, let this story remind you. You are not a failure for choosing a different way. You are a force. You don't have to prove anything to anyone. Just keep becoming. If this story moved you, inspired you, or reminded you of your own journey, don't keep it to yourself. Subscribe to the channel for more powerful true stories of resilience, redemption, and rising above expectations. Drop a comment below. Have you ever been underestimated? How did you rise above it? And if this message hit home, hit that like button. It helps more people find stories that matter. Until next time, keep walking your path, no matter who sees it yet.